Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminally, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, e-readers, I'm doing side-by-side comparison of the Kindle Basic and the Boox Palma. So these are two devices that at first glance may seem very similar. Both of them have black and white e-ink displays of around the same size. So the Kindle Basics display is 6 inches, the Boox Palma is 6.1 inches, so very similar screen sizes. And they are devices that most people will use for reading books. That's certainly what I use both of them for. In fact, with the Kindle, that's pretty much all you can do on it. But there are some really big differences between the devices. So I thought it was worth making a quick video today just to talk about those differences and give my impressions of using both devices. So I've read a ton of stuff on both of these devices and wanted to report back on the experience and the key differences between them. Perhaps the most important difference, and certainly the one that will hit people in the faces if they look at these online, is the price. So the Kindle Basic retails for about £85 in the UK or $120 in the US. Obviously you can quite often get this discounted on Amazon in one of their many sales. The Boox Palma goes for about £250 or $280. So it's about 2.5–3 times the price of the Kindle Basic. And that reflects, I think, two things. One, it shows Amazon's dominance of the market. So the fact that they are able to probably get the components that they use to make the Kindle cheaper than books can. And also the fact that they are making money off Kindle books. So Amazon sell this to you at a bit of a loss because they know that they will make money back from you by sending you content to read on it. Books, on the other hand, are a much smaller company. They're not making any money off content, so their manufacturing costs are going to be higher. The other big difference is the fact that the Boox does a lot more than the Kindle does. So the Kindle is an e-reader. That's what it does. That's what you will use it for. You will use it to read books you have bought from Amazon. You can sideload books onto it, and Amazon actually make that reasonably easy. There's a send to Kindle website where you can just upload EPUBs and things like that you've got, and they will immediately appear in your Kindle library. And I use that all the time. It works very well. But for most people, the main source of the content they're going to read on these is going to be Amazon. So you will read it for reading books you've bought from Amazon, and that's it. The Boox runs Android, so it is a much more open device than the Kindle. It's not locked down at all. Think of this as being like a mobile phone or a small Android tablet that you can install any app you want on it. Now, obviously, because it's got a black and white e-ink screen, you're not going to want to install any app on it. You can install YouTube on it or Netflix and watch video on it, but it's a really weird experience. It works better than you would expect it to, but it's definitely not as good as watching it on your phone or laptop or whatever. But what you can do, because you can install any app on it, is you can install different reading apps. So with the Kindle, you're limited to reading books you've bought from Amazon or stuff you've sideloaded. With the Boox, you can install the Libby app and read stuff from your library. You can install the Kobo app. You can install any reading app you want and any audiobook app you want as well. So I've got Audible installed on here. I've got Spotify installed on here. I've got just a kind of basic Android audiobook player installed on here, and I can listen to audiobooks. I pair my Bluetooth headphones to it and listen to audiobooks across any of those apps. So if you've got a library of content of your own that you've built up over the years, or you subscribe to different services, the Boox Palma will allow you to access that content, access those services in a way that the Kindle will not. So that really is the biggest difference. Aside from the price, the biggest difference between the two devices is the Kindle is very locked to the Amazon ecosystem. The Boox Palma is much freer. And as I say, you can install any app you want on there. So if you've got like a note-taking app you want to install on there, it will be good for that. You can take notes on it and things like that. It doesn't support pen input, but text notes will work fine on it. You can do a wide variety of things on the device, which you definitely can't do on the Kindle. Physically, though, there's obviously one other key difference, and that's the screens, whilst they're the same size on the diagonal roughly, are a very different layout. The Boox uses a more of a smartphone kind of style of screen ratio, whereas the Kindle has that kind of shorter, wider screen. I find weirdly that when I'm reading on it, the Kindle screen feels like it's slightly bigger, even though it's actually slightly smaller. But reading on the book screen is really, really nice. They use the same e-ink screen technology, so there's very little difference between the actual reading experience on these screens. The other benefit of the books is it's more configurable, so you can set the screen refresh rate to change. You can change the resolution and things like that in the way that you can't on the Kindle. So in many ways the books is again a much more flexible device. The other thing that's fantastic for reading with the Boox Palma is it's got buttons on the side, and you can use those to control the page turn. So there's an inbuilt reader app. You can use it on that. You can also set the Kindle app to use those buttons as well. So it's a really great device for one-handed reading. I find, despite the fact that the Kindle Basic is quite small, it actually feels quite awkward to read on one-handed. Part of that is because of the width of the device. So it's quite wide. I've got fairly long fingers, but even for me it feels quite wide to hold. And then if you're holding it one-handed, actually flipping the page with the same hand that you're holding it with is not easy. You can do it, but it feels a bit awkward. Whereas the Palma, with those side buttons, is a joy to read on one-handed. You can very easily click through the pages. So that is a big difference, and definitely a reason why I'm finding myself gravitating to, when I need a kind of small portable device, reading on the Boox Palma rather than the Kindle. This has been relegated to being my nighttime reading device. So this lives by my bedside, and I read on it in bed before I settle down at night. And if I wake up in the night and can't get back to sleep, I'll read a few pages on it. I used to take it out and about with me. I used to use it on my commute and things like that. I don't anymore. Now I always take the Palma. I find it a much more enjoyable device to read on overall. Three other differences just to cover off really quickly. So first one is the battery life is definitely better on the Kindle. So because the Palma is doing more, because it's running Android, the battery will not last as long. I definitely get a few days of battery life out of it, but not the few weeks that I get on the Kindle. The other difference is weight. So they're very similar in weight actually. The Kindle is about 12 grams lighter than the Palma, so you don't really notice that difference. And because the Palma is kind of more compact, because it's slimmer, it actually in some ways feels more comfortable to hold in the hand. And then the other difference is the speed. So the Palma definitely feels like a more responsive device. When you're reading a book, there's not really a difference. The Kindle is designed to do page turns really, really well. But if you're navigating through your Kindle library or something like that, then doing that in the Kindle app on the Boox Palma is definitely easier. So I hope you found that useful. Just a few quick thoughts there on the differences between the two devices. I definitely am reading more on the Palma than I am on the Kindle. It's a much more flexible device, and I find it more pleasurable to read on. But that does come at a price, both in terms of battery life and in terms of pounds. So it's a much, much more expensive device. The Kindle is a great e-reader for anyone to use, as long as you're comfortable being linked into the Amazon ecosystem. It really is a fantastic device. But I think overall the Palma is a better device, but also obviously a much more expensive one. Anyway, I hope that was useful. If you have any questions, do please leave them in the comments. And as always, thanks very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.